My wife, still breastfeeding our son, took a 3-day course where she pumped milk. When she finished the course, she told a story about her professor drinking her breast milk in his coffee. I don't know how to feel about this. My wife and I have a son, and she is still breastfeeding. She had a 3-day course over the weekend to expand her knowledge in her profession. The course was a small course including her, for other students, and a professor. All others were 50 plus in age, and the professor was 60 plus. Anyways, to keep her milk supply from decreasing, she brought her breast pump and actively pumped breast milk before, during, and after the course. The weird part of this, on the last day of the course, the professor asked my wife if she could pour some of her pumped breast milk into his coffee. She agreed and proceeded to pour breast milk from a pumped bottle into his coffee. Apparently, he drank it and enjoyed it. When she finished the course, she told me the story. I mean, it's her breast milk and she can do what she wants with it, but I still feel kinda weird about it all. Best comments. That is super freaking weird. Hopefully she's just too tired to think straight. Not sure what's wrong with him though. Also, I'm sorry, she was pumping during class. Yes, she was. I realize how weird this is and not common. In all the classes I have been in, I have personally never witnessed a woman pump breast milk. She is so focused on not losing her breast milk supply that she decided it was worth it to her. She also pumped while driving to the course. Actually, the newer pumps are very discreet and quiet. Not that it makes this less weird though. Weird he wanted to drink it. More weird she agreed to it. Just weird all around. Who is this professor? Effing Homelander. LOL, this is a great reference. I completely forgot about that scene in The Boys. If he was Homelander, I wouldn't be questioning this in fear of having my heart pulled out of my chest. The professor is definitely getting off on it, and your wife being indifferent about it isn't normal either. It's weird and wrong. The only people who should be able to taste your wife's milk are your baby and you. Everyone else is completely wrong, especially a stranger. Update number 1. Thank you everyone for your responses and opinions. They have added a lot of perspective to my outlook. My goal is to have a discussion with her. When she first brought this up to me, it was more in passing. We are dealing with a sick child, so we are exhausted and sleep deprived, so I was more so caught off guard. I plan on setting up a full discussion and will update this post with new details and how it goes. Update number 2. 2 days after the first post. I had a long and in-depth discussion with my wife about what occurred, and some of the new details that emerged are shocking. My wife was on a 3-day course to boost her education in her profession. The instructor is a male in his 60s who is not married and has no family. My wife was pumping in class to preserve her breast milk supply. She had brought a cooler with her and was placing her pumped milk in bags and freezing them for storage with ice packs. She is very pro-breastfeeding. I am aware and realize that a student pumping in class is not a daily occurrence, but I never had an issue with this as it was a sacrifice for our infant son. On the 2nd day of the course, the instructor made a comment about her breast milk. My wife was talking to someone else and only partly heard it and nodded and faintly laughed, as we all have done to try and be polite. After this exchange, 2 classmates approached her and asked her if she was okay, as the classmates found the comment inappropriate. She brushed it off and didn't make anything of it. On the final day of the course, the big event in question occurred. There was a study room and a coffee room. The instructor called my wife into the coffee room out of the blue. She was surprised. She entered the room, and it was just the 2 of them. On the table were 2 cups, one with coffee and one empty one. He asked my wife where the stored breast milk was and to pour some into his glass. Unfortunately, she agreed and got the milk from the fridge and poured some in. The instructor said, "My coffee is still black, I want more." She poured more in. During the whole interaction, my wife reports being uncomfortable, weirded out, and wanted it all to end. So she abided by his requests. The instructor then asked her to pour some into the empty glass so she could drink her own breast milk with him. She said no. He tried persuading her by saying it's her own substance and she should be drinking it. She declined. He drank the coffee. Everything happened so quick, but my wife felt regret several minutes later and realized this may not have been an innocuous request. Her classmates once again checked in on her and she brushed it off. Later that day, another event occurred that I was unaware of. When she was putting her breast pump away, some milk spilled onto her desk. She didn't clean it up. She went to go put stuff into her backpack. The instructor came to her desk, scooped the spilled milk off the desk into his opposite hand, and licked his hands in front of the whole class. Once again, classmates witnessed this and approached my wife. I am disgusted at the instructor's actions, and I'm in shock. I view this as harassment and abuse. My wife does agree and was weirded out and uncomfortable. A part of her wants to believe he was just a curious man and not malicious. When I asked her why she didn't just say no, she explained she felt pressured, and also instructor/student pressures were in play. She respected him as an instructor as he is a good teacher, so she didn't want conflict. She also believed he may just be a curious person. She claims she never felt any physical threat. Also, we had watched a documentary several months ago normalizing breast milk. She admits this influenced her. Personally, I would like to report this to a lawyer or her professional association. She does not want to do so. She wants everything to disappear and for it to be buried. She works in a small field, and she knows everyone will find out and is worried about her reputation. The instructor has power in the field, and she is worried about repercussions. I want to respect her decision, but I also don't agree with it. I'm worried the instructor will assault another female, or has already. At this point, she has decided to forget about it and move on as if it never happened. We had a very in-depth discussion about boundaries moving forward and what is and not acceptable. We also talked about decision-making while keeping each other in mind, and to say no when we are unsure or not comfortable. So there it is. That is the full story. It has been an uneasy couple of days. I don't fully know what to do. Things just feel weird. Best comments. This adds a lot of context to your previous post. This was not something your wife did. It was something that happened to her. It was clearly wildly inappropriate on behalf of the professor and was an abuse of his power. It's understandable both why you want him to be reported, but also why your wife doesn't. She is the one at the end of the day who would have to live with the potential repercussions of that. We know a lawyer, and she has requested I do not contact her. I want to contact her badly, the lawyer, for guidance, but I also want to honor my wife's request to keep it hush-hush. I understand boundaries. I don't want to do things behind her back. I'm so torn. This behavior is absolutely out of bounds. That man is fetishizing your wife's breast milk. And as far as normalizing breast milk is concerned, his behavior isn't normalizing jack shit. He's straight up perverting what should be a very sacred and private thing, and he's pressuring your wife into his sick games while he's at it. I can guarantee you it won't end here. I can't tell you what to do in this situation since that is up to you and your wife, but you need to trust your gut on this. This is sick. Update number 3. Hey everyone. There was a very unfortunate development from this. After our discussion, everything was great. It wasn't talked about at all. It was water under the bridge. I accepted her wishes to not pursue legal advice or call the police. She respected our discussion. One very key point in our discussion was that she would not take this man's courses anymore. She agreed. About 3 weeks ago, she approaches me to enroll in one of his August courses. I was so caught off guard. And the worst part, she wanted to pump in his class again. To make it all worse, we actually got into an argument, and she made me feel evil. I still haven't recovered fully from that. I had fully moved on from the topic, and then she resurrected it in that fashion. I feel like I don't even know her. Maybe there is more to the story I don't know. I am certain that he would reoffend if she took that course. He even messaged her and invited her to take the course. But, as I've said before, she can be very oblivious and only see the good in people. Anyways, I told her she can take the course, but for the love of God, do not pump milk. She eventually said she's not taking the course. So that's where we are at now.